The final warning. The great hall of Earth's United Council was filled with silence. Leaders from every nation sat together, their faces pale and tense. Outside the window, the blue planet looked calm, but everyone inside knew a storm was coming. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's message of peace, and now humanity had to decide their final answer. President Elena Hayes stood in front of the council. Her voice was steady, but her eyes carried the weight of centuries. "We offered peace," she said. "We begged them to stop, but they mocked us. They called us fragile, they called us weak. They said Earth was nothing more than a backward world, unworthy of respect." The words stung every heart in the chamber. Earth had always struggled against stronger civilizations. But now the insults were not just words. Alien fleets were moving toward Earth's colonies. Reports of destroyed outposts filled the screens. The council knew the truth. The galaxy had chosen war. A young commander named Marcus Reed rose from his seat. His uniform was plain, but his voice carried steel. "We must warn them one last time. Let the galaxy hear us before we strike. Let them know humanity's patience has ended." His words drew nods and murmurs. Every leader in the room could feel it. This was no longer about survival. It was about dignity in orbit above Earth. Giant satellites turned their dishes. The broadcast channels of the galaxy opened. For the first time in history, every star system, every empire, and every ruler would hear Earth's message. Across the stars, billions of beings tuned in. Expecting weakness, they expected begging. They expected fear. Instead, President Hayes appeared on the screens. She wore no crown, no armor, only the dark suit of Earth's council. Her face was calm, but her words carried thunder. "To the rulers of the galaxy," she began, "Earth has spoken before. We asked for peace, we asked for respect. You laughed at us. You called us weak. You believed our silence meant fear. You believed our patience meant surrender. You were wrong." Gasps filled alien halls as her words translated into dozens of tongues. Some empires laughed again, whispering that humanity had gone mad. Others leaned closer, feeling a chill they could not explain. Hayes continued, her voice sharp as steel. "This is our final warning. Harm one more human colony. Attack one more of our ships, and you will see what you have unleashed. You will witness what you mocked. You will learn what it means to awaken Earth's wrath." On a distant alien world, a High Lord smirked, his advisors chuckled. "Empty words," one of them hissed. "The humans cannot stand against us." But deep inside their minds, a seed of doubt began to grow. The broadcast ended with a single symbol glowing behind Hayes. It was not a weapon, not a threat. It was Earth's blue sphere. Fragile yet unbroken, the screen went dark, leaving billions of alien viewers in uneasy silence. Back on Earth, the council chamber erupted with mixed voices. Some feared they had gone too far. Others felt pride burn in their hearts. Commander Reed leaned toward the president. "They think this is only words," he whispered. "But soon they will see the truth. Far beyond Earth, hidden fleets stirred, ships built in secret shipyards, vessels no alien eye had ever seen. Engines thrummed with silent power, waiting for a single order. For decades, humanity had prepared. They had built in silence, hidden in shadows, all while the galaxy believed them helpless in the dark void. An admiral on the flagship Eternal Dawn stood ready. He listened to the broadcast and smiled. "At last," he whispered, "the galaxy will know who we are." On alien worlds, reactions spread like fire. Some dismissed Earth's threat as foolish, others grew uneasy, wondering how a small world dared to speak so boldly. Whispers passed through crowded marketplaces, through military barracks, through royal courts. What if the humans are not lying? Meanwhile, on Earth, children looked to the sky with wide eyes. Soldiers prepared in silence. Engineers tightened the last bolts on ships that would soon carry vengeance across the stars. Ordinary people whispered to each other, their fear slowly turning into resolve. For humanity had reached the end of patience. The galaxy had been warned. The next move belonged to them, and if they struck again, they would not face the quiet planet they mocked. They would face the storm humanity had hidden for generations. The final warning had been spoken, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The silence before the storm. The galaxy had heard Earth's final warning, and yet the stars remained strangely quiet. Some rulers laughed at the message, dismissing it as a desperate cry from a fragile world. Others sat in long meetings, speaking in hushed voices, wondering if humanity had hidden strength. In the vastness of space, silence spread like a shadow. On Earth, the council waited. Every leader knew that the next days would decide everything. President Elena Hayes stood by the window of the council tower, watching the blue oceans below. Her reflection showed a tired face, but her eyes burned with determination. Commander Marcus Reed joined her quietly. "They do not believe us," he said. "They think Earth is still weak." She nodded slowly. "Then let them think so, until it is too late." In secret bases beneath Earth's mountains, activity was growing. Engineers moved like ghosts, building warships that had never been revealed. Vast hangars lit up with the glow of engines being tested. Massive cannons were locked into place. Silent fleets began to rise from hidden bays deep under the seas. They had been waiting for decades, unseen by alien eyes. The eternal dawn. Humanity's first dreadnought floated in high orbit. Its black hull reflected no light, making it almost invisible against the void. Admiral Soren watched as his crew prepared quietly. "We do not strike first," he reminded them. "We wait, we watch, and when they break their promise of peace, then we unleash." His words were carried across the ship. Steady and sharp, every soldier understood. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the silence grew uneasy. In the throne room of the Zorath Empire, the Empress tapped her claws against the armrest. "The humans dare to threaten us," she hissed, "but they do not move. They sit in their system like frightened animals," her generals laughed, believing Earth would never resist, but one advisor leaned forward carefully. "Your Grace," he whispered, "the humans are too calm. I fear they are waiting." On the merchant worlds of the Talari Union, traders whispered of strange sightings. Human ships moving without signals, shadows near asteroid belts, rumors of massive fleets hidden in the dark. The Union dismissed the rumors as fear-mongering, but the whispers spread quickly. Back on Earth, the people lived in a strange quiet. Children still went to schools, markets stayed open. Cities continued their rhythm, yet under the surface, everyone knew the truth. Families stored supplies. Shelters were reinforced, soldiers drilled in secret. The entire planet had become a coiled spring, waiting to release its power. Commander Reed visited one of the hidden shipyards beneath the Pacific Ocean. The massive gates opened, revealing endless rows of sleek warships. Their armor black and unmarked, the engineers saluted as he passed. Reed smiled for the first time in weeks. "When the storm comes," he said softly, "the galaxy will not laugh anymore." The silence was not weakness. It was preparation. It was the calm before something far greater. Aliens across the stars failed to understand this. For centuries they had ruled by fear. They expected Earth to beg, to cry out, to surrender. But Earth had chosen silence. A silence sharper than any blade. In a small village on Mars, a child looked up at the night sky. "Mother," she asked, "why do the stars look so bright tonight?" The mother held her close and whispered, "Because soon, those stars will hear our roar." The words spread across the colony, simple but powerful. Humanity was ready. At the Galactic Council, ambassadors debated endlessly. Some urged to crush Earth quickly. Others warned to leave them alone. "They are ants," one alien sneered. "But ants in enough numbers can devour giants." His warning was ignored, as most still saw Earth as nothing but a backward world. But deep in the blackness of space, humanity's fleets waited in silence. Engines cold, weapons hidden, every captain sat in readiness, listening for the first cry of war. They did not strike first, but they would strike last. The galaxy thought Earth was frozen in fear, yet in truth humanity was sharpening its blades. The silence was their shield, and soon it would become their sword. The storm was coming, and the stars would never be the same again. The first strike. The silence ended with fire. The galaxy's first move came not with words, but with destruction at the edge of human territory. A small colony on Vega Prime fell under sudden attack. Alien warships of the Zorath Empire descended without warning. Their cannons burned the skies red. Cities turned to ash. Millions of human voices cried out before fading into silence. Across the stars, alien leaders celebrated. "Earth is weak," they declared. "They cannot defend their people." The council halls echoed with laughter. They believed humanity would finally bend. But the message that came from Vega Prime was not surrender. It was a single line, sent before the colony burned. "You wanted war. Now you will see humanity's fury." Back on Earth, the broadcast lit up screens across the council chamber. Leaders stood in silence, grief carved into their faces. President Hayes closed her eyes and whispered, They have chosen. Then so must we. Commander Reed stood beside her, his voice hard as iron. The warning was given. Now we answer. Orders spread like fire. Across hidden bases, humanity's fleets came alive. Massive hangar doors slid open, revealing ships that had waited for decades. The Eternal Dawn and her sister dreadnoughts powered their engines. The black hulls shimmered against the void, cloaked systems humming quietly for the first time. The galaxy would witness what Earth had hidden. In orbit, thousands of warships aligned into formations, their weapons charged, their crews silent. Admiral Soren stood at the command deck of the Eternal Dawn. "Mark this day," he said to his officers. "The galaxy mocked us, but today they will learn. Humanity does not break, humanity strikes back." The first strike began not with brute force, but with precision. A fleet of human stealth ships slipped into alien space. Their hulls invisible to sensors, they glided through the void like shadows. Ahead of them lay a Zorath fortress station, armed to the teeth and confident in its power. Inside the alien fortress, commanders laughed as they drank, celebrating the fall of Vega Prime. Suddenly, alarms blared, sensors lit up with confusion. "Nothing is there," shouted one officer. "But our systems are failing." Then the shadows struck. Silent torpedoes ripped through armored walls. Energy cannons tore across shields. In minutes, the mighty fortress became nothing but floating debris. Alien voices screamed across comms, begging for reinforcements, but no one came. By the time the galaxy realized what had happened, the station was gone, erased in a single night. The news spread faster than light. Traitors whispered in shock. Soldiers froze in disbelief. The humans destroyed a fortress? They muttered, "Impossible, how could they?" But the evidence could not be denied. Wreckage floated in silence, the proud banners of the Zorath Empire burning among the stars. President Hayes addressed the council once again. This time her words were not a warning but a declaration. "You wanted war. Now you will have it. You thought Earth was weak. You thought we were children among giants, but you have woken something far older. Something far stronger. We will not stop. We will not bow." This is humanity's answer. In the alien courts, fear began to spread. The Zorath Empress hissed in rage. "Find them, crush them, burn their world to ash." But her generals trembled, for they had seen the impossible. Human fleets had moved unseen, struck unseen and vanished unseen. No empire had such power. No species had ever dared such boldness. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people mourned the loss of Vega Prime, but their grief turned into fire. Factories doubled their pace, soldiers swore oaths, families whispered to each other, "They killed our kin. Now we fight for all." Humanity had been provoked, and now there was no turning back. Commander Reed stood before the massive screen on the Eternal Dawn, watching as fleet reports poured in. "This is only the beginning," he said. "The galaxy wanted to test our strength. Now they will know our wrath." His officers nodded, their faces hard. Every man and woman aboard understood. This war would not end until humanity stood above the ashes of those who mocked them. The first strike was over, but its echo carried across the stars. Empires trembled, rulers whispered, and soldiers wondered if they faced the end of their age. For the galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now the storm had begun. Humanity unleashed, the galaxy had seen the first strike, but it was nothing compared to what came next. The destruction of the Zorath fortress had sent shockwaves across the stars, yet most rulers still clung to arrogance. They told themselves it was luck, a trick, a single desperate move. They were wrong. Earth had waited long enough. Now the hidden fleets rose in full strength from the deep oceans. Massive hangar doors split open and warships climbed out of the water like steel leviathans. From the shadow of the moon, hidden shipyards released swarms of sleek destroyers. On Mars, underground caverns opened, revealing battle cruisers that shook the ground as they ascended into the void. Humanity's true power was no longer in hiding. Admiral Soren stood at the command deck of the Eternal Dawn, the flagship glowing with energy. His eyes swept across the fleet, thousands of ships aligned, millions of soldiers ready. His voice echoed across the comms. For Vega Prime, for every insult, for every life they thought worthless, today humanity unleashes its wrath. The fleet moved with terrifying precision. Alien scouts caught glimpses of strange signals at the edge of their systems. Before vanishing forever, human stealth ships led the way, clearing paths and jamming alien sensors. Then the dreadnoughts followed, their massive cannons lighting up the void. Each shot tore through alien cruisers as if they were made of glass. The first major battle erupted near the twin suns of the Thrian system. The Zorath Empire had sent 3 fleets confident in their numbers. They expected resistance but not devastation. When humanity's armada arrived, the void shook. Alien commanders shouted orders, but nothing worked. Missiles curved mid-flight. Finding their targets with unnatural accuracy, human fighters moved like storms, shredding enemies before they could even fire. On one alien bridge, a commander screamed, "Their weapons, how do they pierce our shields?" No one had an answer. The truth was simple. Humanity had built weapons beyond the galaxy's imagination. Hypercannons powered by fusion cores, railguns that fired projectiles faster than light, energy shields layered threefold. Every piece of technology had been hidden, saved for this moment. Within hours, the 3 alien fleets were gone, wreckage floating across the twin suns. Human dreadnoughts hovered silently among the ruins, sending a clear message. Earth was not weak. Earth was not afraid. Earth was unstoppable. Back on Earth, the council chamber received the reports. The leaders stared in silence as maps of destroyed alien fleets glowed on the screen. Commander Reed smiled grimly. The galaxy asked for war, and now they have it. President Hayes raised her voice, strong and clear. We warned them. Now we show them the cost. Across alien worlds, panic spread. Citizens whispered that humanity was not prey but predator. Soldiers muttered in fear, refusing to meet their commander's eyes on marketplaces. Traders said the same words again and again. Do not provoke the humans. Do not call them weak. In the Zorath throne room, the Empress slammed her claws into the floor. How can they do this? She roared. Her generals offered excuses, blaming traders, blaming technology theft. But deep inside they knew the truth. The humans had never been weak. They had only been waiting. Meanwhile, the human fleet did not slow. They pushed deeper into alien space, destroying fuel depots, shattering outposts, striking fear into every system. Planets that once mocked Earth now shut their gates in terror. Some even sent secret messages, offering surrender before the humans arrived. Admiral Soren stood silent as he watched alien worlds on his screens. They thought silence was fear, he said quietly. But silence was preparation. Now they will learn the meaning of fury. His crew listened in awe, for they knew history was being written before their eyes. The galaxy was no longer laughing, it was trembling. Humanity had unleashed its wrath, and no one could stop it. The war had shifted. The hunted had become the hunter. The prey had become the predator. And the stars themselves burned with the roar of mankind. The wrath across the stars, the galaxy burned. Humanity's fleets no longer defended. They hunted. Dreadnoughts carved paths through alien armadas, while stealth cruisers slipped into enemy strongholds. One by one, proud empires saw their banners torn down. The stars that once mocked Earth now whispered in fear. On the bridge of the eternal dawn, Admiral Soren stood like a shadow against the glowing map. Hundreds of enemy fleets marked in red, dozens already crossed out. His voice carried through every channel. This is no longer a war of survival. This is a war of remembrance. They will never forget what they awakened. In the Thrian system, humanity's fleets reduced entire military outposts to dust. Weapons that aliens once called impossible cut through shields and armor as if they were paper. Alien commanders shouted orders, their fleets scattering like insects. But the humans did not chase blindly. Every move was planned, precise, merciless on Vega's ruins, where the first colony had fallen. Human soldiers returned. Their boots crushed the ash of burned cities. They raised banners in silence, vowing that no world of humanity would ever fall again. A single message was transmitted across the stars. For Vega Prime, and every human ship lit its engines brighter. Alien rulers tried to unite against Earth. The Council of 12 gathered fleets from across the spiral arms, thousands of ships forming the largest armada the galaxy had ever seen. Their voices thundered, "We will drown Earth in fire." Yet even as they prepared, fear crawled beneath their words. For every fleet destroyed only fed humanity's legend. When the Great Armada advanced into the Andari sector, they found humanity waiting, not hiding, not retreating, but standing with a wall of steel and fire. Dreadnoughts in the front, destroyers on the flanks, carriers releasing swarms of fighters that blotted out the stars. The battle that followed was not a fight. It was an execution. Hours later, silence filled the void. The Council's mighty armada was gone. Wreckage drifting among broken suns. Human warships moved forward without slowing. Not a single dreadnought had fallen. The galaxy stared in horror, realizing the truth. Earth had become unstoppable. On alien homeworlds, fear turned to chaos. Civilians demanded surrender. Soldiers deserted their posts. Some rulers locked themselves in palaces. Others tried to flee into the dark corners of space. But humanity's fleets were everywhere, striking like storms, leaving no safe haven. President Hayes addressed humanity through a galaxy-wide broadcast. Her voice calm, but her words fierce. They mocked us, they killed our people, they believed we were weak. Today we show them what humanity truly is. We are the storm they feared. We are the wrath they unleashed, and we will not stop until the stars themselves remember our name. In marketplaces across the galaxy, her words echoed like thunder. Some aliens dropped to their knees, whispering that Earth's fury was divine. Others fled, abandoning cities that had once been proud symbols of their empires. A saying spread among the stars, simple and chilling. Never awaken humanity's wrath. Commander Reed stood at the helm of a destroyer squadron, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. We are not fighting for conquest, he told his crew. We are fighting so the galaxy never dares to harm us again. Every battle is not just revenge, it is a warning carved into the void. His crew nodded, their resolve unshakable. The wrath of humanity spread system by system, empire by empire. Every alien species that had laughed at Earth now trembled. For the humans did not merely fight. They endured. They advanced. They conquered, and with every victory the legend grew. Humanity had become the fire that consumed the galaxy. The galaxy was broken. Stars that once shined with pride now flickered in silence. Alien empires that had ruled for thousands of years lay in ruins. Fleets shattered, thrones abandoned, cities burned quietly in the night. Their rulers gone, for the first time in history, the galaxy whispered one name in fear: Earth. On the bridge of the eternal dawn, Admiral Soren looked over the map. Entire regions glowed blue now, marked as secured by humanity. Red markers that once filled the screen were fading fast. The galaxy is collapsing, he said. And humanity stands unshaken, his officers saluted. Their faces grim. They knew victory was close, but the scars would never fade. In the council chambers on Earth, President Hayes listened to the reports. Dozens of alien worlds had sent envoys. Begging for mercy, some offered tribute. Others offered their own rulers in chains. Hayes closed her eyes, her voice was steady. They never gave us mercy. But we are not monsters, humanity will lead. But we will not become them. Commander Reed disagreed. His fists clenched as he remembered Vega Prime. We cannot forgive, he said. They will only rise again if we let them live free. Hayes looked at him quietly. Then we will bind them not with chains but with fear they will obey. Because they know the cost of defiance across the galaxy. Broken empires crumbled further. In the Zorath throne room, the once mighty Empress sat alone. Her golden crown shattered, her generals gone. Her fleets nothing but wreckage drifting in space. She whispered into the empty hall. How did they do this? How did the humans become gods among us? But no one answered, for no one remained. On smaller alien worlds, chaos ruled. Some tried to resist with old fleets, but humanity crushed them in hours. Others surrendered before a single shot was fired. Entire populations lined the streets, raising banners of Earth, hoping to be spared. Children whispered in fear at night, "Do not anger the humans, or they will come." Humanity's fleets pressed deeper, not just conquering but reshaping. Outposts became strongholds. Colonies became command centers. Human soldiers patrolled alien streets not as invaders but as judges. Every alien eye lowered in silence when humans passed. The galaxy that once mocked Earth now bowed, but victory carried a heavy weight. On Earth, families still mourned the fallen. The memory of Vega Prime burned like fire. Monuments rose across cities, statues of soldiers and civilians who had died in the first strikes. Humanity remembered, and that memory fueled their will to keep moving forward. Admiral Soren stood on the bridge and whispered to himself. They thought silence meant weakness, but silence was patience. Now their silence means defeat. They will not speak against us again. His crew bowed their heads, for they knew he was right. The Galactic Council, once filled with voices of power, now sat empty. Only Earth's flag stood in the center, fluttering against the artificial winds. It was not just a symbol of victory. It was a symbol of dominance. Humanity had not joined the council. They had replaced it. On alien news broadcasts, images of human warships filled the screens. The sight of black dreadnoughts floating silently above alien capitals became the new reality. Poets wrote verses calling humanity the storm of the stars. Priests called them the wrath of the void. And common citizens whispered the phrase that now echoed everywhere. Never awaken humanity's wrath. President Hayes stood before the people of Earth, her voice broadcast across every system. We did not ask for this war, we did not want revenge. But they left us no choice, now the galaxy kneels. Not because we desired it, but because we earned it. Humanity will never be mocked again. The broken galaxy listened. Some with tears, some with fear, and all with silence. For silence had become the language of survival. And in that silence, one truth stood unshaken. Humanity had risen from prey to predator. From victim to ruler, the galaxy was broken. And Earth now sat at its center, humanity's throne. The war was over. The galaxy lay silent, worlds burned, fleets shattered, and thrones empty. Humanity had not just survived, humanity had conquered. From the farthest rim colonies to the shining core worlds, every empire bent the knee. The stars themselves now belonged to Earth. In the great hall of the former Galactic Council, the banners of alien empires had been torn down. Only one flag remained, the blue and white of Earth. Fluttering with quiet defiance, President Elena Hayes stood at the center, her hands resting on the ancient podium. Her voice rang out clear, carried by every channel, every screen, every broadcast across the galaxy. Once we asked for peace, she said, her tone steady. Once, we believed the galaxy could share the stars with us. But you rejected peace, you mocked our voices. You slaughtered our children, and so you witnessed our wrath. This is the truth of humanity. We are not weak, we are not prey, we are the storm you feared, the fire you ignited, and now, we rule. The chamber, once filled with alien voices, was silent. No one dared interrupt. No one dared laugh from their broken capitals. Alien rulers listened with bowed heads. Some trembled, others wept. All understood that Earth was now the throne of the galaxy. Admiral Soren stood at the edge of the hall, his uniform marked with the scars of countless battles. He looked at the alien envoys kneeling in silence, and he felt the weight of history. Humanity had risen from ashes to fire. From mocked to feared, he whispered softly. They will never forget this age. They will never forget who we are. Commander Marcus Reed walked among the shattered relics of the council, his boots echoing against marble floors that once carried alien emperors. He stopped before a massive window looking out at the stars. They called us children, he murmured. Now we sit as kings. His words carried like a shadow across the hall. On alien worlds, the transformation was complete. Priests spoke sermons of Earth as divine justice. Merchants carved human symbols above their doors for protection. Children repeated stories whispered in fear and awe. Do not anger Earth, do not mock the humans, for their silence hides thunder and their patience hides fire. But even in triumph, humanity remembered its scars on Earth. Monuments of stone and steel were built, engraved with the names of Vega Prime, the colony whose death had started it all. Families wept, but their tears were mixed with pride, for their sacrifice had been the spark that lit humanity's rise. President Hayes, standing before the memorial, whispered, You are the reason we fought. You are the reason we endure. The galaxy bows, but your memory is the true throne. Her words carried across the winds of Earth, reaching every heart, reminding all that this victory was not born of conquest, but of pain turned into fire. In orbit, the eternal dawn floated like a shadow over the world, its presence a constant reminder of the new order. Fleets stretched across the void, guarding every star system now loyal to Earth. No empire dared to move against them, no fleet dared to rise. Humanity had become not just a power, but the power alien poets wrote of a new age. The age of humanity, they called it. A time when the stars themselves trembled before the will of Earth. Songs spread across marketplaces, carried in whispers, the storm that was silence, the wrath that was patience, the humans who became rulers. In the council chamber, President Hayes gave her final decree. From this day forward, the galaxy will know peace under our watch. You may kneel, you may serve, but you will not suffer as we suffered, for we are not tyrants. But we are unyielding, remember this day, for it marks the birth of a new order. Humanity's throne among the stars. The words etched themselves into history. Aliens bowed, fleets surrendered, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Humanity had ascended. The prey had become predator. The weak had become the rulers. The silence had become the roar. And so the galaxy entered a new age, an age where every child was told the same story. Once the humans asked for peace, but when peace was denied, they unleashed their wrath, and now they sit upon the throne of stars. Humanity's throne was eternal, and the galaxy would never forget.